While President John Dramani Mahama stood at the United Nations yesterday, demanding the slave trade be declared a crime against humanity, his own government today signed a full-blown security and defense partnership with the European Union, the very descendants of the slavers, and planted EU drones, anti-drone systems, and intelligence hardware literally meters from Burkina Faso's border. Brothers and sisters, this is not cooperation, this is a dagger at the throat of the alliance of Sahel states. Ghana, the black star of Africa, has just become the EU's forward operating base against Captain Ibrahim Traoré and the revolutionary governments of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. Ghana has played a dangerous double game and the entire Sahel is now on high alert. Let me take you inside what just happened. Yesterday, March 24th, 2026, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas flew into Accra like a conqueror returning to old territory. In the glittering conference hall, she stood beside Ghana's Vice President Ngningone
Docteur Nchef Njadile Tata, Don de Dieu. Isaac Chimini, le petit baron. Maître Christian Ankara, Maître Hugues Matadi, l'avocat de Barabas. Maître Bienvenu Faso. Eche Manu Mabengo. Alem voilà la magicienne. Freddy Mayemba. Papi Masita Masitol. Nagisa de Minnesota. Ebi Boibanda la Gauloise. Jean-Luc Kabeya, Shadrach Koka.
1 year after the proclamation of the Progressive Popular Revolution, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Faso and President of the AES Confederation, grants an interview to the national and international press regarding the implementation of structural projects. Of the PPR, the guidance of the destiny of the peoples of the AES, and Captain Ibrahim Traoré's perspective on Africa and the world are the major topics that will shape this interview. Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening.
Thank you for receiving us here at the Presidential Palace of Kunuba in Ouagadougou for this interview, which once again demonstrates the importance you place on the press and communication. And of course, to the concerns of Burkinabés, the peoples of the AES and the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, the format of this interview consists of two parts. First, the head of state will speak with 3 journalists about national and confederal current events. After this first round, 3 other journalists will join to address related concerns. Regarding African and international current events, Mr. President, the first group is already in place. It is composed of Nadege Yamugo from Edition Sidwaya, Salif Sanogo from the television channel AES, now renamed Tafuk TV, and Lassina Yau from Greensinger Studios, a German media outlet. So they will be discussing with you, Mr. President, about 4 topics, namely defense and security, politics and society, economy and development, and of course, confederal current events. Good evening, dear colleagues. So we'll start with the defense and security section. So ladies first, we'll begin with you, Nadege Yamigu.
Good evening, Your Excellency.
Good evening.
So, Your Excellency, what assessment can you give regarding the recovery of national territory?
In terms of reclaiming territory, today we can say that the initiative is ours. That is the most important aspect. For several years, since the beginning of this war, we have been passive, with the enemy setting the pace of operations. The change, this shift, the fact that we have regained the initiative in operations is very important. And in order to regain the initiative in operations, it took a lot of effort in terms of recruitment, equipment, but above all training, because one thing is also very important. Today, no one knows our army, if I may say so, internationally. No one has mastery over our army. We have broken free from the mold of being trained by others, having others dictate the program, the tactics. Today, everything is endogenous. So, it is Burkinabe people who designed the program based on feedback from the field, who train the men, which is why we are able to achieve remarkable feats. And as I speak to you now, our units have taken back many localities, notably by advancing north of Djibouti. These localities, which have been lost for maybe almost 10 years, such as Barabule. Well, from there all the way to Petekoli, our units have retaken them after a series of battles, but they are there now, they are settled. In the east as well, we have made progress, moving toward the Beninese border in particular. Key towns such as Nadiago and others have been retaken and are under control. And so we are making progress, moving from victory to victory.
One could say, in a way, Mr. President, that there is a strengthening of the army. There are many resources acquired, training is being conducted, and yet we still see that there are many killings. And the number of IDPs, internally displaced persons, continues to rise. What explains this situation?
The number of IDPs is actually decreasing. The figures are quite clear on that. We are in the process of resettling people. As I mentioned, there are many localities that have been retaken. A few years ago, there were nearly 2 million IDPs. Today, we have well under 1 million. And by May or June, there will be very few IDPs left. Because these areas, indeed, when you look at them, I just mentioned Barabule, Petekoli, the areas of Tulfe, Pobe, Mengao, Namsijia, and everyone who knows northern Burkina knows, all of these have been retaken between November and now. So you can imagine all these people who need to resettle and everything that comes with it. So the number of IDPs will inevitably decrease. So the killings, often as we've said, when the enemy starts losing momentum, they tend to commit acts of devastation. So what can they do? They look for civilian populations, shoot at them quickly, and then disappear. And very often they even have the cowardice to film what they're doing, these acts against unarmed people and all that. And there you have it. It's a bit like they actually want to create panic among the population. It's a war. They use guerrilla tactics, and we conduct counter-guerrilla operations. But the most important thing, as I said, is that we've adapted and we are evolving. Because it's not just equipment that makes a war. You can have all the necessary technological equipment, but it's the human resources that matter, first and foremost. Human resources must, of course, be trained militarily, and you see that many African countries spend their time being trained by Western countries, and so on. So our philosophy is as follows. Are these people who come to train us gods? Maybe there are angels who taught them tactics. But why can't black people perhaps tell themselves that they too can develop tactics? Look, in all African states, Western countries have to come and train them. We have put an end to that. We train ourselves in the art of war based on our own experiences, and that forges the mindset of our human resources. And it's from there that you can create combativeness, resilience, and resistance. And that is very important. So equipment is important, of course, but also the human resources that need to be valued. And it's all of this combined today that gives us this success.
Your Excellency, you have elevated the Brigade of Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland to the rank of an army. What can this bring to the fight against terrorism?
So we elevated it to the status of an army because that's what it deserved. We are reorganizing ourselves. If you notice, by elevating it to an army, the regulations have also evolved a bit as well. There were many areas that were, if I may say, in 2022 red zones. At the end of 2022, we created a lot of VDPs and so on. Today, after 3 or 4 years, many areas have become completely green zones. For the past 2 or 3 years, there are areas where not a single gunshot has been heard. We have managed to create this security cordon around them. So it was necessary to reorganize the VDPs so that those who are in these green zones, if I may say, could remobilize to go further towards the borders of the region, the borders of the country. And so this creates a group of national VDPs and regional VDPs. And to leave very few communal VDPs to continue maintaining the situation of stability. So this change leads to a reorganization. They are now organized into operational groups at the regional level. So it forms a military rank. That's why we have elevated it to the status of an army. And it has also been given its own autonomy. Full autonomy in its operations, but especially in maneuvering. Because they have specific missions assigned to them within the overall mission of the different armies. That's why it was elevated to the rank of army.
If Nadej allows it, Mr. President, you spoke about training men, which is very important. You also spoke about erections, for example, of VDPs in the armed forces. Last December, in Bamako, during your visit, you spoke of a black winter, of a black albino. Can we know if this winter has already passed, if this albino has slipped by us unnoticed, or what exactly is it about?
The black albino, that concerns Burkina, it will come. That I can say is good news that will come for the good of our homeland. That's what I see. And it's coming. But as for the black winter, I think the wind has started to blow. The most discerning will understand. This winter we cannot avoid it if we continue to behave like this in Africa. Those who can quickly come together so that we can protect ourselves, kill the wolves to use their skins, and shield ourselves. Cut the dead wood to make fire or build hills to stop the wind. Those who can understand this will understand. But the winter is already here. The wind has started to blow. And if I repeat, if we continue with this behavior, our heads of state, nothing can stop it.
So, Your Excellency, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of progress has been made on the ground in terms of reclaiming territory. But when will terrorism end in Burkina?
I can say that at the pace we are moving right now since November, I can assure you that at this rate we are not too far off. Because the most important thing for us was to completely change our approach, to avoid doing what we had been used to doing for the past 8 or 10 years. Because those one-off operations, those same types of bases and everything, we developed something else, another tool. And when we tested it, it proved to be effective. This allows us to go into areas that used to be like sanctuaries. I was talking about the area up in Djibouti. You see, that area was like their territory. No one could venture there or anything. But today, our units broke through and established themselves there. And guess what? There are areas where, when they arrived, they actually found training camps. Well built, even better built, and you'll find obstacle courses that are better constructed than those in our own training centers. Imagine, they settled in, they imported all the iron, cement, and everything needed to build the training bases. That really surprised us. It means they felt like they were on their own territory. But we broke through. We're there now. These territories are lost because they had been under their control for more than 10 years. The completed zones, no one had ever, in fact, the army had never set up there. And so we are continuing, up to the limits of our borders. And as I said, whether it's in the north or the east, all over, we are moving forward again. And once they no longer have any maneuvering ground, any safe havens, it becomes difficult. But now, there is an important phase that must come in a few months to completely close all the gaps to prevent infiltrations. Because often that's the issue, we can set ourselves up. But they can find a way to infiltrate either by planting IEDs or sneaking in as small pairs, coming to kill behind our lines, creating these emotional incidents and so on. But we are going to close all the gaps. For that, we will take the necessary measures, but it will come to an end.
Faso, Alem voilà la matricielle, Redi Mayemba, Papi Masita Masitol, Maître Ike Matali, l'avocat de Barabas, Maître Deveni Faso, Eche Manu Mabengo.
Excellencies, it has been decided to grant exceptional promotions to soldiers, gendarmes, and police officers under certain conditions. Could it be that this action will lead to a deep sense of resentment among the members of the ranks?
No resentment. There is no decision in this world that can achieve unanimity. One evening, if you are in charge of an organization, no matter how small, understand that it is rare to have a unanimous decision. So of course, some people may be frustrated or not. Secondly, human beings are what they are. Not everyone ever sees things the same way. Because we don't all have the same ability to understand things, the same ability to analyze and so on. It's just part of it. But one thing is certain, we are at war. If there are people who stand out because of their ability to go beyond their mission, it goes without saying that they should be rewarded. That didn't exist in the army. We changed the statutes and everything, and we introduced it. And so we asked the various unit commanders who are on the ground with their men. There are men who perform acts of bravery, exceptional acts that go beyond their mission, and to support this with reports. The hierarchy then has a commission that meets, reviews, and decides who those individuals are. For example, let's take a soldier who, during a battle, his job is not to lead a group or anything like that, because it's the sergeant who might have a combat group to lead, that's all. But you will find soldiers who, due to circumstances, found themselves taking back control of a group, fighting and getting their unit out of a very complicated situation. That kind of soldier needs to be rewarded because he has the tactical ability to be a sergeant. So those are the ones that unit commanders are supposed to identify and submit their names. The command will read the report, analyze everything. It goes without saying that they should be given the rank of sergeant to motivate them, because there are also other people perhaps who want to do more, but who are also waiting to see the motivation behind it. It actually motivates them. It encourages those who hesitate, who don't want to give their all, to push themselves further. That's what we're asking for. And in war, that's very, very, very important. When you're a soldier, when you're a fighter, pushing yourself can change the course of the war. You see, when there's pressure, it only takes one person to decide to maintain a certain level of fire or to carry out a particular maneuver. And that can completely turn the enemy's maneuver around. And that's very important. So I actually think that instead of causing frustration, it encourages and motivates.
Since we're talking about national defense, Mr. President, not long ago, an army from a neighboring country made an incursion into Burkinabe territory to plant its flag, but the Burkinabe army quickly responded to restore the national flag. What is your analysis of that situation?
No, not at all. The Burkinabe army didn't even need to go and plant the flag. As soon as they did it, the local people took down the flag and put the Burkinabe flag back up. So even before the units arrived on the ground, the units went there, they gathered the people, preached to the people not to give in to provocation. We observed them, and as I said, these are behaviors that fall within the context of the Black Winter. There are people who always behave like Negroes. I wouldn't even say salon Negroes, but real Negroes. When their master tells them do this, they can only do that. It's like a curse. They can't go beyond that. Look at some of them. They have given their entire country to those people. They are sitting there, they no longer have anything under their control today. But when they are pushed to go to war, they are ready and they provoke. I've always told people we are already at war. So we're not afraid of war. But if someone pushes us to the limit for our homeland, there's nothing else to do. We will go to war. And when it starts, no one knows how it will end. But an army that is not at war, if it can avoid going to war, that's better. But if you go looking for trouble, you'll find it. That's what I can say about this situation. We are watching, just so you know.
But this time from the international press, we have Yusra El-Baghi from Sky News, a British media outlet. Joining us today, we also have the pleasure of welcoming Kilis Boko from New World TV, which is a prominent media outlet based in Togo, along with Valerio Cataldi, representing Rai TV, a well-known and established Italian national television channel. That's correct. So, good evening, dear colleagues. Let's open this chapter with African news. And for once, let's start with you. So, Madame Yusra, your first question addressed to the head of state. Sir.
President, what is your country's vision?
The overall vision for Burkina, you mean? Well, thank you and welcome. I think you are in a country that today advocates for sovereignty, national sovereignty, and complete independence. Because as you know, our country was colonized like many African countries. But today we are making our voices heard. And so, the fight for sovereignty and independence is the driving force behind our struggle.
What does your revolution actually do in practice? Is it a revolutionary uprising against the Western powers? Or is it a fundamental national transformation occurring at the same time?
The revolt against the West? No. The West, things shouldn't be mixed up. As a revolutionary, I like to make the distinction between peoples and policies. There are many people in Europe, in the West, who support us in our struggle. We see through the people, and even on your TV shows and everywhere, many people who speak out and support our fight for freedom. And I think everyone has an interest in this. But now the policies of certain countries may be opposed to our ideology. And logically, the revolution will fight against that ideology. Because we want to assert ourselves. There are those who don't want us to assert ourselves, who want to lie to us, to keep us in slavery, in alienation. No, the revolution fights against that. So that's a bit of our guiding principle. Yes, so Mr.
Dupont.
The first question, how do you define Togo's specific contribution to the consolidation of the alliance of Sahel states? Do you consider Togo a strategic partner in this new architecture, even though it is not a member of the AES?
Togo is a country. In any case, I wanted to. Thank you. I want to thank the Togolese people and their authorities very much. I can say that Togo is more than a strategic partner. For me, I don't speak of a strategic partner, I speak of the country of brothers. Because when people are trying to suffocate you, to kill you, a brother can help you. I think brotherhood doesn't go beyond that. During difficult times, Togo has always taken its stand. And to this day, Togo maintains its position, its course of action that supports the AES. It is a brother country, it's more than a partner. That's what I can say. Togo has taken many actions, whether on the economic front, through the maritime route, certainly, but even in the area of defense, Burkina Faso, for example, and Togo, we have a very close cooperation. In the fight against terrorism and everything else, that is something to be proud of. We are beyond what people can imagine, as I often said. Today, the two armies, the responses to each other, the planning is no longer at the state level. It's not like before, when a plane from Burkina had to intervene or a plane from Togo had to intervene. You had to call all the way up to the presidency to get authorization to cross the borders. No, it's at the local level. It's not even the general staff, it's someone at the school level. So the forces coexist and everything. So you see that this is an exceptional partnership. It's about brotherhood, that's all we're asking for.
And this partnership has been strengthened, perhaps especially with the extradition of the former president, Paul Henry Sandago Damiba.
Yes, saying it was strengthened is an exaggeration. It was already strong. It's just a logical continuation. Togo can be in brotherhood with us. He is left out. On its soil, someone who is trying to destroy his brothers. So we were the ones who wanted Togo to keep him for a long time. Otherwise, this didn't just start now. But at a certain point, with quite overwhelming evidence, the Togolese authorities decided to send him back so that he wouldn't be an obstacle to our progress. So that too should be acknowledged.
Have you already met with him face to face since his extradition?
Why, no, I haven't done that. He is dealing with the justice system, he is making the rounds, and I haven't done it.
Excellent. There have been at least 5 coup attempts against you. Who thwarted them and why?
You counted 5, but there are many more. There are many more, that's just what has perhaps been revealed. Every day there are people who are determined to make sure we are not here. Those who want to see us disappear are the ones we call the salon slaves. They are the ones who sell out Africa, who do not want Africa to be free. Very often they are Africans who are alienated and exploited. We are among those leaders who want to create the conditions for our young people to work here. Instead of going to wander the streets of other countries begging, and very often there are some who end up behaving in ways that are not at all healthy in your societies over there. We do not want to see that. The African is not a subhuman. But in this same context, the countries that colonize us, that want to see us in slavery, that want to keep us there, have their henchmen here, their local lackeys, their representatives. And these people are ready to do anything to see us eliminated. And unfortunately, that is the reality in Africa. And these individuals, every single day that God gives us life, as long as we are alive, they are not happy. And so it is a constant and ongoing struggle.
Who are the imperialists?
The imperialists, there isn't a single face you can put on them. It's a mentality. It's not a question of skin color. As I just said, the European people support us a lot, and even many European leaders support us as well. I even heard one of your leaders, who has long been sounding the alarm, say that the fact that France exploits Africa with its CFA franc and so on creates these waves of migration to European countries, especially to Italy. She's absolutely right. That's just how the situation is. So you see, it's in Europe. But not everyone understands things the same way. So imperialism is when someone wants to dominate another, wants to keep others in slavery, who oppresses others. He can be black, he can be white, he can be African, he can be European, he can be American, he can be Asian, he can be of any nationality. But any individual who has that desire to oppress others, to keep others under domination, is an imperialist.
Is it truly possible for individual freedom to be fully integrated? And your revolution demands absolute and total sovereignty, the profound freedom of the human soul that wants to express itself freely, to stand in direct opposition to your absolute power.
Ah yes, now that's something. You did very well to come. That is to say, something that the mainstream media, as they're called, spend their time lying about in Europe. As if here people were walking around with axes and machetes. When you open your mouth, you get hit. That's not true. There is freedom. Everyone is free to say what they want, to give their opinion and everything. Even on our TV channels, you see people giving their opinions. But freedom has its limits. For example, we are a country at war. We are not going to allow anyone to demoralize our troops while they are on the battlefield. That we will not allow. We will not allow the local lackeys of imperialism among us to try to sabotage our struggle to restore our country into the clutches of those imperialists. The freedom of an individual, as we have said, ends where another's freedom begins. If you don't have a society, just as you are free to say what you want, so is the other person. And when everyone starts saying whatever they want, it ends up with what? With a fight. Are we going to let our society fall into decline? No. Even those who say there is freedom of expression, in reality there is no freedom. So let's take the French authorities, so as not to confuse them with the French population. Is there freedom of expression in France? There isn't any. If you don't align yourself with the authorities' ideology, you get kicked off the TV set. There are journalists who are kicked out. Or we've seen Alain Foucault recently, the Claudicians, who were kicked out of RFI. These are journalists, right, who spent decades at the radio station. Why were they kicked out? Because of their opinions. There isn't even freedom of expression over there. Look at the war that's happening today. Are you crazy as a journalist? Go try to do a certain kind of report, it will never get through. When the Russia-Ukraine war started, a lot of Russian media were sought out in France. Is that freedom of expression? No. Every freedom has its limits. When the farmers, the yellow vests and others took to the streets, they were beaten up. They wanted to express their opinion, to tell the state we need a certain policy so that we can live. Here we take care of our farmers.
Faso.
No, our farmers never protested when they were beaten. We take care of them. We do everything we can so they can farm peacefully and give their best. But elsewhere, that's not the case. But it's those countries that stand on platforms and call themselves lands of freedom. That's not true. They're all dictators. Their freedom is only in relation to Africa. So we need to put freedom into perspective. Here, we are freer than they are. Much freer. So,
behind the destabilization attempts you mentioned earlier, it is often said that the hands of certain neighboring countries are hidden behind them to call a spade a spade. A spade a spade. Benin, Ivory Coast. Have relations evolved with these neighboring countries? Are you ready for a de-escalation, and under what conditions, Comrade President?
That doesn't depend on us. They are the ones who started the hostility. Let me remind you of something. When we arrived, we had no problem with anyone. We communicated with everyone, we interacted with everyone, and so on. But one day, for example, I was sitting and the Minister of Defense told me that the Ivorians had sent a note to withdraw all their students from our schools. The academy, the PMK, the NSUBA, you see. I said, but what's going on? And then they withdrew all their students, officers and non-commissioned officers and everyone. No explanation. I told him, well then, prepare for reciprocity so we can bring our children back, because we don't know what they have in mind or why they're doing this. That was the starting point, the first action taken by the Ivorians. We also brought our students back and let their students leave. And little by little, we started to experience acts of hostility towards us. No problem. We take Benin and others as examples. We didn't provoke anyone. We all saw when, once again, they tried to bring a war into our region. But who was at the forefront? President Ouattara came out saying he would send a battalion. He had everything prepared. We are still waiting for his battalion. The President of Benin said that force is needed. They will use force. They will go to war. We are waiting. We are ready to go to war as well. There can be no de-escalation as long as mindsets remain like this. If he is looking for trouble, he will find it. So, it wasn't us who started it. If people aren't smart enough and still let the imperialists come and tell them, kill each other black brothers, then so be it. If that's the solution to achieve independence, we are ready. But no one will enslave us again. We are ready for that. We are fighting. We are already fighting. Because terrorism is a manifestation of imperialism. So don't talk about de-escalation as long as their mentality hasn't changed. There are people, every month or every 2 months, they have to run to Paris, go take orders, and come back to implement them. They are not free. They are not free. We, on the other hand, no one tells us what to do. We govern according to our people, according to the needs of our people. Our people need water. We do everything we can to provide water. They must be self-sufficient, eating independently. We do everything to push ourselves forward for the sake of security. We fight for the sake of security. They need roads development. That's what we're fighting to achieve. But we don't go to someone else's place to take orders, like being told to give road contracts to this company or to give this or that to some company. They're actually slaves. And as long as they remain in that mindset, forget about de-escalation. On the contrary, things will only get worse. As long as they stay in that frame of mind. That's what I can say.
It's about human rights, Mr. President of the United States. The international organization has accused you of suppressing the independent press and civil society. Is there a place for human rights in Burkina Faso?
Human rights in Burkina Faso. What are human rights? Honestly, I don't know what they think. You know, no one is going to come here to fund people, indoctrinated people, to destroy our countries. That brings us nothing. Do you know how many NGOs there are in Burkina? Can you imagine? Do some research. It's not just hundreds, it's a lot more. I'm not going to give you any names. Do your own research. Look up each NGO. What do they actually do? Do you really believe it's humanitarian? So there are things like this that we fight against, and then they say we're fighting against human rights. Is that what human rights are? We are fighting against terrorism to secure our people. So we are giving our people the right to live. Isn't that the most fundamental right, the right to life? Aren't we fighting for human rights? We are fighting so that closed schools can reopen, so that children can go to school. Isn't the right to education a human right? Who is fighting for us? Who is helping us? The same people who cry out every day about human rights. None of them have given us a single cartridge to fight against the terrorism that kills our children, to fight against the terrorism that closes our schools, that destroys our schools. That means the terrorists are fighting against human rights, we are fighting for human rights, and they are the ones encouraging the terrorists. Who is fighting against human rights? They're the ones saying it. And I'm going to talk to you right now about some things happening in Europe and elsewhere. But it's over there that they're fighting against human rights. Otherwise, human rights exist here. And remember something, human rights come from Africa. It doesn't come from somewhere else. It comes from Africa and West Africa here. The first charters that spoke of human rights were here, in the AIS Confederation, more precisely in Mali.
The Charter of
Kurukafu, yes. So human rights were known by Africans. We were well organized, a well-structured society. Everyone had their rights, even women's rights. It is in Africa that women's rights existed. Elsewhere, they did not exist. And it's those people who can talk to us about women's rights or human rights. They don't know any rights. Who talks about human rights? Who has habitually bombed children? Who is bombing children everywhere, dropping bombs indiscriminately, killing children and so on? Is that what they call human rights? That's not what we do. We fight for the lives of our people. We protect them. Our soldiers die to protect them. We do everything we can to open our schools, to educate them. We do everything we can to support our farmers, to practice agriculture so that people have enough to eat. We do everything we can to dig wells so that people have access to clean water. Who is fighting against human rights? It's them. They have no respect for human rights.
and the village defense parties who have been accused of committing serious violations, where are the long-promised investigations?
Those who say that the VDPs are accused of serious violations, what evidence have they presented? We ourselves, when we found VDPs involved in certain acts, they were put in prison. Those VDPs are in prison. They know where they are. And we have said, whoever, it's not someone else. Listen, we are responsible. We are adults. No one should see us as subhuman. We know what we are doing. And it's this mentality too that is dangerous. Because often some leaders in the West and all that see Africans as subhuman. And so they come here as if it's to teach us things. I told you that the right to life, it's us who teach that to the rest of the world. No one teaches us that. So it's true that there have been a few small problems with some people. VDP, there are some who have committed abuses and other things. They are in prison. There's no hesitation about that. Now all that they're saying, what proof have they provided? Nothing. It's us. When people accuse us, we conduct investigations. And very often we find that it's what we call treachery. The terrorists, they come, they carry out massacres in certain places, often wearing our uniforms. Sometimes people even say it's the army. And then they leave. They came wearing those uniforms, yes, but it's not us. They put on our flags, all our insignia, and then they come and do these things. And the terrorists publish videos of this. But why don't they see us? The terrorists post videos on social media where they're wearing our uniforms, our gear and everything. They go out and carry out actions. And then afterwards they film something and give it to those individuals to claim that it's a military force. They're well aware because they're the ones who go over there themselves. How did they manage to establish a channel with the terrorists? To get footage, how did they do it? There are even people who have the nerve to tell us that they filmed. I remember once they told us that by satellite image they saw Malians committing abuses. They aren't even ashamed. They don't have the sense to realize that what they're saying is wrong. Why do I say they don't have sense? It's because they always see black people as subhuman. Otherwise, if you have the ability to use satellites to see forces committing abuses, but you don't have the ability to use satellites to see the terrorists, then you're insulting us. Here, our entire struggle is for the survival and security of our people. And we are living well. We are living well. We are in good harmony. Otherwise, well, we wouldn't be able to go wherever we want. And that's it, we wouldn't be able to act. You can travel around Burkina. You can go anywhere you want. You will see what is changing in Burkina, what the people appreciate about our revolution and everything. And it will do you a lot of good. At
the conclusion of a tripartite meeting recently held in Cotonou between the chiefs of staff of the armies of Côte d'Ivoire, France and Benin, one of the officers, specifically the Chief of Staff of France, stated that since you took power, the security situation has greatly deteriorated. Some would even say it's catastrophic. What is your response to this officer, Mr. President?
He's French, isn't he? He should mind his own business. We are Burkinabe. It's none of his concern. They need to understand that. All I'm saying is, when someone talks about our countries, it's an insult to us. It means they see us as less than human. What business is it of theirs? The situation has deteriorated, but that's between us, Burkinabe. Is it any of their business? Not at all. They should mind their own business and stay in their own country. Why does he have to stick his nose into Burkina's affairs? He still has that colonial power. Let him say it out loud, that he is the colonial master and we are the slaves. That's why he gets involved. Otherwise, Why is he talking about Burkina? What business is it of his? They were here? I looked for them. They left here in 2023. They were here. When they left here, Bobo and Ouaga were cut off. You couldn't travel anymore between Ouagadougou, the two capitals, and go there. The terrorists were there. Kumbia, Korokwa, everything was under attack. Koudougou, people had to retreat as far as near Koudougou, 100 kilometers away. Everything was surrounded. The RN16, which connects people in Toko, whoever could take the road, but they were there, weren't they? With all the helicopters, tanks, and everything needed, the technology, the drones, the satellites. It was incapable then. Today we move around calmly, freely. And the other day there were ambassadors from the European Union and some European countries who asked, can he go back? I was surprised to see it on TV. He goes everywhere. There's Duri. He travels around the country. Me, I go wherever I want. Not by air, but by road. Across my country. You can't just get up here in Uruguay and Gawa, go do whatever you want, come back, go to Tenkode. It's impossible. It's Burkinabe people who are fighting to reclaim our land. And if that's worse, of course it's even worse for him. It's not good for him. Our progress here, it's dangerous for France. It's dangerous, it's not good for us to reclaim our land. So understand that he's right. When they speak, it's not for our good, it's not for our people, it's for their own benefit. And they want us to remain in insecurity and let them come. But they have been unable to bring back security. And we will even tell them tomorrow, loud and clear. Our forces are fighting, we don't need them. Let them take care of their own problems and we'll take care of ours. That's it.
Has Russia been truly effective in assisting your forces in the fight against terrorism?
So people need to understand something. It's true that even the Russian president has offered us any help we want in the fight against terrorism. He wants that if we want them to send anything at all, why not? To help us fight everything? But I said something. We are from Burkina Faso. No one will come and fight for us. That is something intrinsic to us, Burkinabe. So everything we do with Russia, if we need equipment, Russia in any case has opened the door. Everything we want to buy, they are ready to sell to us. So already that's a major step forward. You know, there are many countries to whom we wanted to pay with our own money and they refused, right? Yes, many European countries and others, they completely refused to sell us the equipment, but Russia sells us what we want. Second thing, with Russia, we share a lot of experiences of battles. They are at war, a war I would call modern. We learn from their war. We are at war too, and they also learn from our war. You understand, so there is an exchange of experience. It's really quite a limited field. Apart from that, no one is helping us on the ground. It is the Burkinabe soldiers who are fighting, who are reclaiming our land, and who continue to make progress. No one knows how things are advancing. Even for training, we train among ourselves. No one is training the Burkinabe army. That's it, because we have a concept. I like to tell people, and I'll say it right now. You, Europeans and others, your armies, was it God who came to show you how to wage war? Are you smarter than us? We have the same brains. So we too will develop warfare with our own way of fighting, with what we have. No one is coming to train us. And no one knows how to fight this war better than we do. That I can tell you. If European armies come here to face the Tyroids in our conditions, they will die. We are the ones who know this war, we are the ones fighting it, we are the ones training ourselves to fight this war. ourselves. To fight this war, Africans need to stop believing that, as if God sent a Messiah to teach others how to wage war, that they must come and teach us. Why is it that we can buy equipment from you which is technological? You come to teach us how to use the equipment. After that you leave. That's what happens with the Russians, the Chinese, the Turks. You see, drones, some advanced equipment. When we pay, they come. But it's usually just a few months. They teach us how to use the equipment, and then after that the contract is over. Everyone goes back home. But on the battlefield it's Burkina Faso. These are our lands, and if not, we will fight for our lands. That's the logic.
I see, Mr. President, but more than 60% of Burkina Faso, that is, the majority of the country is controlled by jihadists. Does this approach work?
Who said that?
It's the truth.
Yes?
It's the women.
Then, you can travel to any location you want on the entire map that you might desire.
Everything is now available online?
Online.
Online. Truth. She
Maybe looked up information on the internet.
Ah, yes. There you go, it's the same ones. The same media, the same governments. There. They paint Burkina in red, it's false. Me, I am the head of state. Or just now we were discussing assassination attempts and all that. It was a city, there are just a few cities I haven't visited yet. I go everywhere, and everyone goes everywhere. So in the north, there was a strip. That was under control. I just said the forces are up to Petekolu today. In the east, at the border with Benin, our forces took Nadiagu 1 or 2 weeks ago. Right now they are in Ponyu, next to your place. It's where we can't go. That's a lie. They're lying. It's all completely false. If it were as you say, we'd be going around here, driving, right? Riding bikes, right? We're organizing our events, aren't we? Some people even said last time that Djibouti had disappeared, that Djibouti had fallen. At the same time, there was a football competition in Djibouti, which ended a few days ago. They're lying. The art of lying is in the Western media. Many of these mainstream media outlets, as I like to say, do nothing but lie to sell you false information and make you believe that everything is going badly. On the contrary, many things are going well here. Our economy is doing very well, we're doing better in our struggle, and we're making progress. So, be careful with what you read on the internet.
Is the Russian government assisting you in managing your public image across the internet? And what is the reason for that?
Me, I don't need that. Africans are already doing it. Many of your people in Europe are already doing it. In America, all over the place. Do you think all those people, it's us, that we can help them, pay them or something? No. I think people have seen our struggle. They've understood our struggle. You see, it's this habit people have. Paying people to manage what? For what? To help organize your image online? No, no, no. We've moved past that. The media approached us to do that, I told you. We said we don't pay. We don't do it. Go ahead, tarnish our image. They do it, don't they? Jeune Afrique, RFI, what else? We will never pay for that. Before, that used to happen. And wherever we used to pay, I shut it all down. We don't pay for anything anymore. Because you have a state-owned company, they make them take shares in their media outlets. A share in a media outlet is not a return. You're investing. I put a stop to all of that. If someone wants to tarnish our image, let them. Our people know what we're doing. Africans know what we're doing. People everywhere in the world who want a just world know what we're doing. So from the start, people talk about the good things we're doing. Because what we're doing is also fair. Our struggle is just... So we don't pay anyone to clean up our image or anything like that? No. And stop blaming the Russians for these things? Everything is supposedly the Russians. Do you think Africa isn't capable of doing anything? Is it Russia that always has to hold people's hands? Please leave them alone. The Russians are fighting their own battles over there. We have very good cooperation. But don't think they have a slaveholder mentality, like some people believe. No, the Russians aren't like that. They don't interfere in other people's affairs, and that's what I appreciate about you. All right, yes?
Precisely, regarding these new strategic partnerships, especially with Russia, we can say that it's not a good time for Russia's allies, particularly in Venezuela and Iran. So I ask you, do you see the dark winter reaching all the way to Ouagadougou? Does it ever cross your mind that you could be abducted one day like someone being tried elsewhere? Can the dark winter extend all the way to Burkina Faso?
You know, Africans have a problem, and the main problem is wanting to believe that someone else will fight your battle for you. I just explained it regarding money. That's how we are. From the very beginning, I told you we received all kinds of offers, but not for success. Many countries offered to send troops to help us. We said no. No and no. Because I instilled a certain mentality in the military leaders. Our fight is ours first. Our security is ours first. No one will come and do it for you. If someone comes to do it, then it's no longer your land, for one thing. If someone else has to ensure your security for you, then it's not your security. They have you under control. You have to learn to secure your surroundings through someone else. You know that he knows your procedures. He knows everything. Do you understand? And if you make an alliance, thinking that in case something happens, it's the ally who should come and fight, you're completely wrong. And I keep telling this to those close to me or those around me, you have to rely on yourself first. And when you rely on yourself and develop your own tools, you have no reason to be afraid, at least not at first. So that's very important. So we don't count on it. If there are allies of Russia who have relied on Russia for certain events, that's their problem. As for me, I don't count on, if something specific happens here, that Russia will be there in the first hours or whatever. No, I don't count on that. The only support Russia can provide when I want to pay for something to defend myself is that they accept my money, that's all. We don't ask allies to come and fight and die for us. Why? Aren't you human beings? If you react like that, it's as if you're putting yourself in the position of second-class humans. That is to say, you're not human in the same way as others. But that's the mistake that many people make. By wanting to, there you go. Even as there are heads of state whose security is ensured by people of other nationalities, that is not on them. Secondly, as there are heads of state, when it's their own men providing security, they send them to train elsewhere. That means that we lack the intelligence to develop something ourselves. If you send your security personnel to be trained elsewhere, it means those people know your procedures inside out. They know everything around you. So in fact, you haven't accomplished anything. You're sitting there thinking you're dressed, but you're actually naked. So there are a lot of things. I can't go into detail about everything here. There are so many things that Africans need to take into account and that some others need to consider as well. Listen, as we like to say back in the village, when someone washes your back, make sure you hurry to wash your own face too. So if there are strategic alliances that allow you to get support in certain areas, for the rest, you need to be able to develop it yourself. It's like the military industry. Here we are in Africa, just sitting around. I say yes, we urgently bought equipment to contain our threat and fight our war. But do you think we're going to keep going like this? In any case, not Burkina Faso. Because our mentality is different. From now on, we will produce military equipment for ourselves, and if people want it, we'll sell it to them. Because I'm convinced of one thing, we have brains too, we think, we're not stupid. But if you act like you have an illness, you're the one showing others that you're stupid. You don't produce anything, and you don't even intend to produce anything. You don't develop anything, whether tactically or technically. You always rely on others. But you're not human beings. You shouldn't count on others. Count on yourself first. And that's on an individual level. In Burkina Faso, every Burkinabe must count on themselves first. And the revolution is this mentality. You see, before everyone would just sit and say, it's the state, it's the state. We are in the process of changing that. You must rely on yourself first before calling on the state. And so even at the state level, that's how it is. So that's what I can say. There is nothing to fear. We have a system that we have gradually developed to perfection. People come to show us something, to teach us something. As long as God has given us a brain, we use our brains to think.
Excellent. The visit of Nick Clegg from the US State Department to Ouagadougou signifies a rapprochement with the West.
Yes, I followed that. They asked to come and have discussions with us. I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs spoke with them. And also a bit in Western countries. Actually, people need to understand something. We are not opposed to anyone. We are not against anyone. But we are against those who do not respect us. And who do not want to accept our sovereignty, our independence. Even today, France is not our enemy. As I said, the French leaders have their own policy. If we look at the French people, how many French people support us? How many French people, even in the media we talk about, that are supposedly paid for propaganda? No, how many French influencers make videos? Those are the ones on social media making videos to support us. There are many of them. There are a lot of them, and I salute them in passing. We don't even know them. They see our struggle. If you want to cooperate with us, there's no problem. But when you come, if you come and want to show us that you're superior to us, that's it, you leave. But if you understand and you come to deal with us as equals, man to man, there's no problem. We can talk business. Everyone does business in the world. But imagine you come and say, okay, I'll take your gold, we'll give you 10% and we'll take the rest. In Burkina, that doesn't work anymore. If you come, we'll talk. What are you bringing to the table? Okay, for us, the resource belongs to us 100%. Depending on what you bring, we can assess and then say, well, we'll give you 40% or 45% or at most 50%, and then we're even. And that's a discussion. But if you don't want that, if you come with the mindset that, well, these are just Negroes, we'll take whatever we want. That doesn't work. So anyone who wants to work, who wants to do business in Burkina, you come with a good mindset. We'll do it. Even if tomorrow French entrepreneurs think they can come to Burkina, they're welcome to come. But if they come with a master's mentality, if they come to deal with slaves, we'll kick them out, and that's the end of it. And if you come and want to deal intelligently, without any hidden agenda, we'll talk, the contract is clear. If you break the contract, we'll tell you to go back home. That's respect for our sovereignty, for our independence. That is very important.
Why do you think young people love you so much these days?
Why do I think young people love me these days? I don't know. I can't judge that myself. If young people love me, maybe it's because of the ideology we're developing. Take the health sector, for example. We are equipping our hospitals with all possible technologies. The cost of healthcare has drastically decreased. Whether young people like it or not, the prices of medicines have gone down. This has nothing to do with the sub-region, not even in Europe. Take the area of infrastructure, for example. We are building our roads ourselves. Young people are finding jobs because the Faso Mevo agency employs thousands of young Burkinabés, whether young people like it or not. All countries can do the same thing. In the field of agriculture, we have provided the means. We have paid for thousands of tractors that plow the fields of many farmers for free. And when it comes to large fields, it's subsidized. Whether all countries want to see this or not. This year, we achieved record production. Since Burkina has existed, we have never produced like this before. But is it positive or not? Everyone will eat, will assert themselves. Purchasing power is increasing. We are creating industries to process our raw materials, whether young people like it or not. Young people will be employed to run the factory, but also in mechanics. And all of that. So let's look at the fields of transport and everything else. Even urban transport, we saw that we were very far behind. We have decided for one phase to make at least 500 buses that will transport people. That means that many people who couldn't get around will now be able to. And that creates jobs for 500 buses, just for the drivers alone. You have 1,000 people who are employed. Is that good or not? So in every field, we are making progress. That's what young people see as positive, what they appreciate. And I appreciate that. It's not me, myself, that they like, it's the ideology that they like. And it's this ideology that maybe they want to see duplicated everywhere, so that people can live with dignity. So when it comes to education, we are building lecture halls for our universities. Look at our students, the delay that it's terrible. If you see how our students were, we created university centers everywhere, but not a single lecture hall. They just wander around the cities like that. But today we are building lecture halls all over to give them a bit of dignity. Soon it will be university dormitories because they don't even know where to live. Some of them sleep on the floor at the universities. We need to help them find housing. University cafeterias, we need to help them be able to eat. Is it good or not good for the schools, the children, and everything? Often the children don't even have a school. Today we have taken models and we are building well-constructed buildings with much smaller class sizes. If you go into classrooms with 100 or more, 200 or more students, can the teacher really teach? Can he really work? Even the teacher suffers in there. We are in the process of readapting everything to reduce class sizes, create classrooms that meet standards, and provide all the necessary tools. Is it good or not good? This is what we are doing. It is for the well-being of our population. And all across Burkina, the health centers, we have put a project in place. We have already built nearly 40 of them. And every year, this will continue. And in these health centers, there will be doctors assigned. So that if someone has appendicitis or a fracture or something else, we shouldn't be unable to operate on them there. They shouldn't have to be sent to the city for surgery. I travel around my country, I see it. I've been to villages, to provincial chiefdoms, hundreds of kilometers from Ouagadougou, where, when a woman is pregnant, it's for 9 months. Every time she needs an ultrasound exam, she has to be taken to Ouagadougou. I'm against that. So I'm setting up ultrasound machines over there. We're improving the facilities. Is it good or not? We've hired doctors, it's the first time, but actually it's in Africa. That's 1,000 times 5. We created a program of 1,000 times 5 specialists to assign them everywhere so that healthcare is brought closer to the people. Is that good or not? Are you helping me talk about this? Everything I'm mentioning, there are so many things. Now, they don't talk about that. They just paint our map red. Our country has disappeared. Nothing is going well here. Now, you understand why I said that. In fact, there is freedom here. Everything is here. But they don't want that. That way we thrive. That's not good. They don't want that, so they have to tarnish our image. Otherwise, you can walk around freely. Everything I've said is verifiable. That's it. And that's what the youth want to see, and that's what we're doing.
Commander, Mr. President, certainly if you are admired by the youth, it's because you embody, for a large part of this African youth, a hope for dignity, for awakening. Hope can also lead to immense impatience. So what message of truth do you have? What would you say to those young people watching you from Bobo? I have a bit of a stomachache. Bamako, Dakar, or Abidjan, who are waiting for Africa, your generation's Africa, to finally be the one that delivers results, Comrade President.
I can't claim, in fact, that my ideology, if I can call it that, will suddenly spread across Africa. It's up to the people to take responsibility everywhere. And I say it, to demand certain things from their leaders. There are leaders who are compromised. They call us and often say, you are on the right path, but we can't do what you do. Because, well, it's difficult. Some have their wealth over there in Europe, in banks and all that. If they mess around, everything gets frozen, ill-gotten gains and all. I tell some of them, have the courage to come forward, to tell your people, well, listen, in any case, we behaved badly, we stole, I have so many billions in banks in Switzerland or wherever. But from now on, I am committed to working for you. Forgive me, and let's start over on a new foundation. There are also some who have been compromised by the same kinds of scandals you see, Epstein or whatever. Every time they go to Europe, they're put up in hotels and they've been filmed in compromising situations. And that's how they...
Ngningone II.